Hello and welcome to this Project in a Box video. In this session we're going to be looking at Method Manager, which is the tool that we use for developing the method templates which guide the way a project is delivered within the system. It's quite a big topic. We've broken it down into 5 sections. We're going to start with this introduction, which will give you a quick run through what Method Manager does and enable you to understand how to get hold of a method. Then we're going to have a look at how to build a process documentation model within a method, then the navigation, that'll be the 3rd section. 4th section is about how to set up the new info panels, and the 5th section is how to set up the rest of the method, the reporting structures, permissions models, properties structures, etc. These 5 sessions will replace the current 3 videos which were recorded a couple of years ago now on a much simpler version of Method Manager. So this is bringing it all bang up to date. Probably be about 20 minutes to half an hour per video. So let's get cracking then and have a look. So the first thing we're going to do is just recap a little bit about what a method is. We're in the main system here. The methods are used by both the browser interface and the Windows application. We're going to have a little look at both, but we're in the Windows application here, and I can see a project has been created with a particular method, and this is using demand process. So we've got a relatively limited set of documentation showing and sets of data and particular reports set up, and as we click on parts of the diagram it takes us to that particular set, either a particular combination of documentation we want to see or a particular report that we want to run. Like that, or it can take me to further properties I need to add, or a whole range of other functionality. Any of the functionality in the system can be linked from the diagram, and that's really where we get our feel for the method. For it controls the structure of the documentation and the things we encourage users to do. So this is a project built with a particular method. Let's go and have a look at a couple of others so we can see a bit of variation in that process. So we're going to come and pick this one here. This is a 4-step project method. We can see it's got a whole load more documentation processes available for us to use. It's got links through to other functionality like discussions, collaborations, threads, plans, risks and issues, overviews, various reporting, a whole load of other admin facilities that are available here as well. So quite a lot built into this particular method, and some info panels as well, which are showing statistics and properties and text from the properties database in the system. I'm going to have a look at a 3rd one as well. In fact, this one I should mention is iMethod, so it's using what we call PIBX templates rather than Word files. Of course, the files that you ship into a blank project are also part of this method template as well. So let's come down here and have a look at the Scrum method. This is an agile type process, so it's laid out a bit differently. Some of the data properties are different as well, but it's got exactly that same idea. When we click on something, we get a set of documents shown to us. We've got various things that we can fill in terms of properties and data models for lists of tasks and risks and issues and all that sort of thing. So this is it in the Windows application. Like I say, exactly the same thing if we come to the browser. So this is the same project running in the browser. It'll do the same things. The forms and displays are slightly different, but the content will be essentially the same. We have 2 different types of diagram for navigation here that we use in the browser. We have this main navigation diagram when you're full screen, and when you go into a particular functional area and that takes up the screen, we have what we call this sidebar here down the left instead. And both of these can be used to drive navigation to particular areas, reports or discussions threads or any of those other things. So that's what a method template does. It enables you to build this method structure that the project is going to be built from. It's like the DNA for the project. It controls the flows and all the functionality that you're offered. You can have as many methods as you want to in the system to create different types of projects. As we can see here, we've got a few ones in this system already. All the sort of work that we do in terms of managing methods on and off the server is done from the Windows application, because it's not an everyday activity like the things we do in the browser. And the tool we actually use to make changes to these method templates is called Method Manager. It's a completely standalone application. It is not connected to your server in any way, and it's here. You'll only have it installed if you're an administrator and you've specifically downloaded and installed it. And like I say, it's not connected in any way to the server. It is completely standalone application, and it works on the method template, which is a set of standalone materials which are used to create and control the new or the projects within the system. So the first question is, how do we get a method template to use in Method Manager if it's not connected to the system? So the first thing is we would download our method template from the server to a local location. We can then use it, and we can then copy it back up onto the server when we've finished, because we don't normally work live on the server on these sorts of materials. So when you're an administrator within the main application, you have this form here, upload download templates, and this allows you to you have a managed location which you set up here at the top. This is the folder where your methods are going to live locally while you're working on them, and you can download any method from the server. As you see, I've got quite a long list here. Let's pick one. Let's pick a 3-step 2020 I method. Download it. It'll bring that material down and put it in my folder here, which I can open. And here we are. We can see I've got 4 methods in this folder, several of the ones that we've been looking at, and the one we've just downloaded here, the 3-step I method. Now, once these materials are here, I can work on them as long as I want to till I put them back. They're a copy of what was on the server, because of course the method needs to be retained on the server, because you're usually running projects using that method. And when I want to put my method back after I've made some changes, I'll simply select it here. In that case, that one, press upload now, and it'll take that and overwrite whatever's currently on the server. So we do need to be very careful here about making changes, because the way we test them is by uploading them back to the server and trying them out. And if we've made a mistake, we're overwriting the method that's already on the server. So what's more common is we download one, we make a copy of it, and then we work on the copy, and we might upload that to the server to test it out, and if we're happy with it, we then upload it and overwrite the original version. So there's some things immediately to think about there in terms of our process. So let's go back to Method Manager and have a look at our method. So normally you'll find when you open Method Manager the first time, it's empty like this. There's nothing showing in it, and you will need to go and open a method from your saved location. So open template from file. Normally the place you will find these is in your your user folder. So Malcolm West /documents/PAB, which is a folder we create. Let's just turn that so we can see it. Documents PAB, which is a standard folder where we put all your interesting things for Project in a Box. Downloaded templates, and then within the downloaded templates location you will see all of your methods. So they're the 4 that we've got. Now, Method Manager is looking for a particular file, if you like. It's the key that unlocks the method, and the file type it's looking for is one of these, a template.xml file. So when we open up the method, it only shows us files of that type. So that's the file that we're going to want. None of the rest of these will look empty if you open them. It looks like there's nothing here, but there are no items that match the search, which is for template XML files. So that's the one that we want. We're going to talk a bit later about looking at the guts of a method to see how all that looks, and we'll see there's quite a lot of material in those folders, and you can sometimes then come to here and go, well, that's empty, that's not right, but it's the template XML file that you're looking for. So that's the key that unlocks the method. It's then able to find and populate Method Manager with all of that information. The majority of what you think of as the method is managed from this tree here, and then there's an assorted set of files and forms which fill out other aspects of it. So this method is a 4-step project management method with a gate at the front with an idea process. And when we looked at it in the main application, we saw that sort of purple idea process at the front, the demand management process, and if you pass that gate, you are then able to access the rest of the project. So if we open this tree up gradually, we'll see at the top, project structure, we've got the 4-step project method materials here, broken down into the different process steps that appear in the project, and we can see the things that we expect, the documents that we expect to be in each of the navigation steps. Some of them are empty, some of them are provided with templates, and we can see the templates there, etc. So it's a fairly logical sort of idea. It's just like you see it in the main application, but here you can see a number of the processes at the same time rather than just one of them. So that's obviously a key part of the method structure, defining the processes that you want, documents you want in it, which ones are going to have templates, associated information with all that, all set up here. If your project has stages, repeatable elements of work within it, you can have specifications for those. You can either have one or you can have multiple. In this case, we've got multiple different types of stages that can be dropped into our delivery project. And again, these are defined in exactly the same way. We've got the structured processes and which of them have documents. So during concept and start, we don't have any documentation, only during manage and deliver and close. And again, we can see which documents are going to be relevant to display in each of those points. So that's our top level project structure, our stage structures. That's how the documents and processes work in the method. And then we come on to the navigation of that. So we have a number of different navigation diagrams here. There are some rules in the system about which navigation diagrams are shown at which point, and we'll talk about that much more in the navigation session, session 3. But we can just preview those here. So in this method, like I say, it's a demand method. So the first thing you would normally see is the demand process. And this is what we saw when we were looking at our project. It shows in fact, it's just the JPEG. In fact, all of these diagrams are JPEGs. You draw whatever you want to, and then over that you lay these click areas that determine what happens when a user clicks in that area. So there's one here which is controlling access to the project concept documentation. None of these others have got click areas set up on them because, as we saw in the main system, they're inactive until we've passed through the gate. But other areas here will have functionality associated with it. And if we go and have a look at one of these things, so this is taking us to the Explorer and showing us that documents that are defined in this process step here. This one over here is showing us the idea score, text in large purple characters and appearing in that particular space. And all of these maps, these are called maps, these boxes that are laid on here, they'll either be clickable or they'll be displaying some data, and they're set up to do whatever it is that you want to do. So you draw the diagram, you lay these maps over the top. Like I say, you can have different diagrams for different circumstances. So once the project has passed its gate, it will show you this diagram instead, and like I say, there are rules that control all that. So you simply design the diagrams to be what you want, and then you lay these mapped areas on top. Of course, it helps to have thought about what it is that you want to put in those places and on those places when you're designing the diagrams. You can always change the background diagram if you need to. So if it's a graphical change or change of logo or change of color scheme, you can simply redraw the JPEG if the boxes are in the same locations and upload it again to the method, and you'll have a new background. And we'll talk about that also in session 3. So this is obviously a key part of that. We talked about the diagrams in the browser and in the main application, and I mentioned in the browser we'll have something very similar for the main area, but we also have what's called the sidebar. That's that little diagram that appears on the left, and again you can set up clickable areas within that sidebar menu as well. So that's what most people think of as the method. the process steps, the documentation, the functionality that you're offered through the diagram. Actually, there's quite a bit more to that, which will be explored largely in the 5th video of this session, but various bits will be picked off slightly earlier than that, talking about permissions models that go into the project, the rules about which diagrams to show, properties models that it's going to use, the template properties form has all the information for setting up reporting structures for a project of this type, as well as various other setup aspects. So there's an awful lot of extra things there that start to make it a really rich and functional method. But the core of it is about this document structure, navigation aspect of the method. So, like I said, when we've downloaded our method from the server, if we just start making changes to it immediately here, save and close it, upload it back to the server, then any new projects will have those changes we've put in. Any changes to the navigation will reflect onto existing projects that were there already. So if we've broken something, it's going to effectively break the projects that are, or break access to the projects that are already on the server. And we might want to be able to have to go back. So it's always a good idea to work on a copy. Now, Method Manager has this facility built in for us, so we can come to here and do Save As, and it will create a complete duplicate of this method, but with a different name. So let's call this one Training. Methods have 2 different names actually. They have a functional name, which is what this is, the template ID, and this cannot contain any spaces or special characters. You'll see we've used hyphens to delineate the words here, and that's how these have to be developed. So if we do that like that and press OK, it's created now a copy method, exactly the same as the previous one, but it's just got a different name. Now, if we go to template properties, we'll see this form here. When we select, when we're creating a new project in the main application, we have a create project form, and you select the method you want, and it tells you some information about this method, and that comes from here. And its display name is here as well. Now, of course, this is the same as the display name in the original one. So again, we're just going to leave a message on the end so we can pick out which one it is that we're working on. And I'm just going to save the changes to that. So now we've got 2 different methods, or 2 methods that are exactly the same apart from their name. That's the only difference. Let's go and have a look at that in the folder now. So we'll come back to our download templates and we'll open that folder. And where last time we saw 4 methods, now we see 5. One of them is a copy of the previous one that we downloaded. And that's all done for us. Now, one of the mistakes that people occasionally make is to download a method and then they just get the folder, copy it, paste it in again and give it a new name. Now that doesn't work because the name of the folder is actually linked to the content files, and yes, if you want to go and open them all up and edit them by hand to make that work, you can, but it won't just work off the bat. A method manager does all that for you. So let's have a little look inside this method, because actually at this point we might not have to do very much. Some of the simple changes we make to methods can be done just by downloading it, working on the folder and putting it back again. So if we open that up, we'll see that folder contains 3 folders itself plus a set of XML files, and every method will be relatively similar. Obviously this one's going to be exactly the same. If we come to one of these other ones, see 3 folders and a set of XML files. And this one, 3 folders and a set of XML files. It can vary in terms of the XML files it has, because if it has multiple different stages, there'll be an XML file for each stage. So in the one we've been looking at here, we had a number of different stage XMLs. Other than that, they should be exactly the same. Now these XML files here control the structure of the method. The menu controls the structure of the navigation. The project controls the structure of the project element document structures when you create a new project. Stage 1 controls the stage type structures when you create a stage of that type. Template XML contains all the other administration aspects, permissions, models, reporting structures, etc. And then library contains any additional library of templates that the project might utilize and hyperlinks to materials elsewhere in that you're using or referring to from your project. And then we have the 3 folders up at the top. So the library folder contains those shortcuts and template files that we might be using in our method. The image folder contains those background images. When we look at them through Method Manager, it shows us this diagram and then the click areas on the top. And obviously when we look at it through the main application, it's showing us this diagram with the information above it. So that's fairly obvious. And then the doc folder. And the doc folder contains all the starting templates that are injected into a new project or into the stage of a new project when that's added. So this set of templates are the things that are going to appear in our project. The most common change that people make to methods as they go through their evolution and life cycle is that they will change the content of templates. They'll add a new guidance message or a new heading, or take a heading out, or rejig a template table or something like that. And they want that to apply to all the new projects. So these are the set of templates, and if you want to make changes, you just simply open the template file here. Be careful not to change the name of it at all. You just simply change something within here, whatever you want to do, save and close that, and as long as you haven't changed the name, when you upload that back to the server and it creates a new project, that's the file it's going to drop into the project. So it really is very easy if you're just doing that simplest, most common low-level change on a method. It's to download the method. You don't even need Method Manager, in fact. Make a change to template, upload it back to the server again. It's a low-risk strategy because you're unlikely to break all the existing projects because these things are only used when you inject them into new projects. So you don't need Method Manager to do that. But you can just come in here and work on these things straight away. So it's always useful to know where the key things are within here. In session 3, when we talk about navigation, we'll talk about replacing images, if you've changed the logo or something like that. And that's usually done by just straight replacing the image files in this folder. Okay, so in this session, we've just recapped what the idea of a method template is. We've looked at where we can find Method Manager, how we can get a template down from the server to work on, an understanding of what Method Manager does in the simplest sense, and then how to make a copy and what the DNA of a method, what the actual raw guts of a method template looks like when you're looking at it through File Explorer. That's going to do us for the first session. The following sessions are going to go into some of those areas that we've talked about in much more detail, and also some things that we haven't talked about in this intro. So hope you found that helpful. By all means, look at session 2, which will be on process. Thank you very much.